She waited 3 years, Yana. I went to jail for 2 years. She waited 3 years. She waited till after I had a buzz in my city. I'm on the radio. I'm opening for major acts. And then she came to me with this baby.
I cannot
talking
believe
about
this
she tried to put a baby on me after she seen that I'm doing things. I'm moving places. I'm going around.
This is what fame does to people.
Ms. Tinsley won't even allow Mr. Hunt to talk in this insane case. Mr. Hunt says he is one of the biggest rappers around, and that is why Ms. Tinsley wants him to be the father of her 3-year-old child. But she says that how can she be a gold digger if there ain't no gold to dig? And here is how this feisty clash all began.
Sure, you're not.
Yana, I'm more in my city where I'm from. I'm like the hottest rapper around. Not to be sounding cocky or toot my own horn, but I'm on radios. I do shows for any major acts coming to the city. I'm doing my thing. She's a groupie. She's a groupie.
Far from a groupie.
She's got nothing going for herself. She's dead broke. She's
I keep a job.
She's coming at me for looking at dollar signs.
Yeah, let us hear about all of that. Ms. Tinsley obviously did not let Mr. Hunt being broke stop her from getting into his bed, and Mr. Hunt still liked this supposed groupie enough to sleep with her. So they need to stop the charade immediately and get to the bottom of this case.
Yeah, okay, a few years back, but I only hooked up with her one time.
That's a lie. We had sex several times.
One time.
We had sex several times, actually, Your Honor.
With several other guys? What about them?
I'm single. I don't got no man. I ain't married.
Now, this was just a one-night stand kind of thing?
Jump off, Your Honor. She's a groupie. That's what
I'm a jump off. I'm a groupie, though. I'm a groupie all of a sudden.
I found out about this chick when she came to me about the baby. I found out about it on Facebook over my mother's
That's
house.
a lie.
Wait, so Mr. Hunt has been incarcerated for a while and is still claiming he is this big rapper that Ms. Tinsley wants to steal from? Anyway, Ms. Tinsley says she is only claiming he is the father now because she did a previous test and found out the man she thought was her baby's daddy really wasn't. So he is the next possibility. Here is how that was laid down.
No, it was like over
what kind of drugs are
a couple of months period.
I mean, she's
like a couple
sober.
months. But what you also admit to is that you were having sex with someone else during that very same time.
I was single and I was kind of doing me. But if I was so much of a slut, I would have 5, 6, 7 kids by 7 different men. I got 2 children by 2 different men.
And Ms. Tinsley says she even told Mr. Hunt that he was the next possibility if her ex-boyfriend turned out not to be the father. Then people started finding out that big old rapper Mr. Hunt could be a baby daddy, which got our big-time rapper really upset.
Yana, she waited 3 years, Yana. I went to jail for 2 years. She waited 3 years. She waited till after I had a buzz in my city. I'm on the radio. I'm opening for major acts. And then she came to me with this baby.
I cannot
talking
believe
about
this
she tried to put a baby on me after she seen that I'm doing things. I'm moving places. I'm going around.
This is what fame does to people. It changes people.
So let me ask you this.
Why would you come to me 3 years later then?
He's saying
this is really a mess. And at this point, you kind of start feeling really sad for the baby because these two don't seem like they are going to build very functional families anyway. Anyway, Mr. Hunt is still hung up on calling Ms. Tinsley a groupie because he just thinks the baby isn't his.
Why she was a tad bit tardy.
She's a groupie,
on the request.
I'm not a groupie.
Yana, she's showing up at, I told you I opened for major acts. She's showing up at the club with this baby on her arm, Yana.
That's a lie.
She's showing up at the club with this baby on her arm, Yana. I've never seen this in my life, Yana.
Really? In Dog Club with a baby? Ms. Tinsley says this is a big fat dumb lie and that it absolutely never happened. But bringing a baby to the club seems like something anyone would remember, so it is either Mr. Hunt is lying or Ms. Tinsley is, but he has even more accusations.
Not only the club though, Yana, she's coming to the studio. I'm leaving out the studio with me and my friends, my partners, we leaving out. She's showing up at the studio with this baby.
You agreed to do the blood test. Why you agreed to do it before then? What made you change your mind, Jamarcus?
So, Ms. Tinsley, you're saying that there was a time when he agreed flat out, I'll take the blood test.
Yeah, he agreed to it, and they was gonna cut off my welfare check if I didn't get nobody tested.
Well, it seems like a little tiny bit of both. Anyway, both Mr. Hunt and Ms. Tinsley have had their fun and made their accusations. It is now time to learn the truth and see whether this blowing up rapper now has a child to call his own, or if Ms. Tinsley is just some annoying deranged groupie.
Mr. Hunt, you are not her father.
Thank you, Jesus. Yeah, wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Good luck to you, Jamie, in finding your daughter's father.
Ms. Brown submitted a swab of another child when she was supposed to conduct a DNA test to see if Mr. Sensibo was the father of her child. But now she is saying she has turned a new leaf and that the baby is definitely his. But Mr. Sensibo and his mother are in court to say that is absolute nonsense.
Such a mother's boy, and that I was dealing with his mother.
How am I a mother's boy?
I would be dealing with his mother more than him. I didn't lay with her, I laid with him. him. It ended when we were supposed to, we had a conversation and he had said that he was ready to man up and move in together. So I had found an apartment.
And boom! That is how the relationship went bust. But something must have happened before Mr. Sensibo would do that. Well, our guy has something else to say, and it is very shocking.
It wasn't even all like that. Like, it wasn't even all how it seemed to be right now. Like, the relationship, she was still talking to her, you feel me, her ex, you feel me? So, like, what was I supposed to do?
Greg, you know the honest to God truth that you told me you was ready to settle down. Man. You know that's the honest to God truth.
Regardless of all this, what brings us here is the lie.
That is true. This is no couple mediation court, but sometimes the couple's drama is very important because it tells us a bit about who is telling the truth or not. Anyway, the question here is whether Ms. Brown slept with her ex after sleeping with Mr. Sensibo. But Ms. Brown has her own evidence, which is a calendar. And you know Judge Lauren loves highlighting calendars.
The dates you were intimate with both men on a calendar, okay? In green are the days you were intimate with Mr. Sensibo.
Yes, ma'am.
But even looking at this calendar, it lets me know that she even lied about something else because I was told she took a plane to Oklahoma, and then when she got off the plane, she was throwing up, I guess, experiencing morning sickness. Now, here we go, you drove.
Greg knew.
You told me. I don't know what you told Greg or what he knew.
So the lies are coming out now. You really have got to get your stories straight before coming to paternity court, because if you don't, you are going to get outed. Anyway, Mr. Sensibo's mom has her own theories about the pregnancy, and it is crazy.
You didn't talk to me until after you had your baby. That made me conclude that you didn't want to talk to nobody or say nothing so you could see who the baby resembled, so you can put that baby on somebody, and it just happened to be my son.
This is why I didn't want to say anything.
She looks for love in all the wrong places.
At the end of the day, she didn't care about...
You don't even know me.
She didn't care about the baby feelings. She cared about the men feelings. Like,
that is a lot of accusations, but for some weird reason, Ms. Brown is just sitting and taking it. Is it because she knows something we don't, or she is just bluffing? Anyway, Miss Brown told Mr. Sensibo here that he was the father. Immediately, she got pregnant, and he tried to step up. And this is what happened.
Like
so that he'd be able to bond with the child, being that she had three other children. This one child, it shouldn't have affected her other than just her being the mother of the child. For her to come bond with who was supposed to be the daddy.
She was so worried about
You think I was going to send my child to California with somebody that...
You agreed to it.
But did I do it? Did I do it?
Back down.
If I was in California, I would have let them visit her.
Okay, the mom here is making a lot of great points, but Ms. Brown says she was not sleeping with the mom, so how can she trust her? Well, Mr. Sensibo got shot 6 times, and this kind of changed his mind.
My son has had 2 different separate near-death experiences.
He has.
So does he have to die for the truth to come out?
What happened?
He's been shot.
And that's the lifestyle that I didn't want to let my daughter leave with.
You was messing with him at the time of his lifestyle.
It don't matter. I had my kids was nowhere involved, unattended with this man.
Well, Your Honor, I almost lost my life. I got shot 6 times. I got shot in the head, in the arm, in the back, in the butt.
That is shocking. But Ms. Brown is now saying that she never told Mr. Sensibo that the baby was his, and that she just said it was a possibility. But Mr. Sensibo says that when she saw the child's photo, she just wanted to check in, and that is when she discovered that the baby could really be her grandchild. Anyway, Miss Brown never actually confirmed it and kept lying through the process. This is how that happened.
The timeline of lies is week 1. I purchased the DNA test, to which she agreed to take. I honestly believed that she would go forth with doing it, and there wouldn't be no problems. But I ended up waiting 8 weeks, 2 months for her to send it in. Finally, she sends it in the DNA sample. Week 11, the results came in. I got an email in the middle of the night.
And what did the results say?
That there was 0 probability of paternity.
Really? Did Ms. Brown really do that? That is insane. So what is the truth? Did she really swap one of her other kids just for spite? Well, Ms. Brown admits that yes, she did lie, but it was for a good cause.
That was a lot of lies.
It was.
Most of which you admitted to. Why so many lies?
Because I should have, the whole time I was dealing with her, I should have been dealing with him, and that's how I felt personally.
And that's because I cut her off, Your Honor.
Yeah, that was probably a good choice because it seems Ms. Brown here is a dedicated liar. But Ms. Brown says that she is just a little victim and everyone is just victimizing her. Yup, that is right.
Just here to make me out to be the bad guy.
You are the bad guy.
She was sending pictures, okay, I'm posting them on Facebook, Instagram, or whatever, like this is my baby, like you like this, like it's my baby, like showing everybody. So she called me like, why would you do that? Why would you do that?
At the moment, yeah.
I need you to speak up now, don't get quiet on me.
Yeah, I did.
Why?
Because my ex was thinking that Malaya was his.
Now, why would your ex ever think something so preposterous? Anyway, Ms. Brown says that she just did not want to break their family up. The only real way to get to the bottom of all of this is to get the DNA test results. And here is what those results say.
Mr. Sensabaugh, you are not her father.
Yes.
Ms. Brown, you look relieved. Ms. Montoya, you look crushed.
Ms. Hamm slept with Mr. Kisner's best friend, and she is now claiming that the child definitely belongs to Mr. Kisner. Mr. Kisner and his family think this is a lie, but Mr. Kisner betrayed his family just to get back with Ms. Hamm. And today, we are going to get to the end of this family drama. Here is how it starts.
Well, he may be there physically for Zayden, but he's not there financially. He doesn't have a steady job. He doesn't do as much as I would want him to do.
Have you been there for the child, Mr. Kisner?
Yes, I haven't been there, but yes, I have.
Miss Willen, you said you tired of playing daddy because you got to step up.
Yeah, he is there right now.
Wow, that means that Mr. Kisner has not supported this child financially at all, and he is extremely emotional about it. In fact, he says that he betrayed his family by even being present for the child at all, and that is because they believe the child isn't his. Of course, Ms. Hamm says this is a complete lie.
I don't agree with that. We have photos right here, and you put them side to side, and they look exactly alike.
Which photos did you bring? May I see those, please, Jerome? What are these photos of, Ms. Hamm?
It's Zayden and him when they were both babies.
Well, Your Honor, she slept with my close friend.
Oh.
I've known since I was little.
Did you sleep with his good friend, Ms. Hamm?
Yes, I did.
And Ms. Hamm admits that she did it. She says that the friend had broken up with her good friend and that Mr. Kisner was not paying her any attention, so she did the extremely sensible thing. She broke up with him and then slept with his friend and then told him after the fact, and they continued the relationship. Now it is time for the billion-dollar question.
Not besides his friend, and then that's it. I got taken advantage of at a party, and that was in like September.
And Your Honor,
where she was
can I
at?
please say something?
Yes, ma'am.
She was in a bad place before she had Zayden. That's why I was so worried.
Well, when she talks about going to hotel rooms
drugs
with men and drinking and doing drugs, you know, I have to ask the difficult questions when you're drinking and doing drugs.
Ms. Hamm is extremely certain that the child belongs to Mr. Kisner, and that is that about that. She has even turned her life around and is now a completely different person. But then, Ms. Hamm's mom starts saying something really weird.
Didn't have her biological father. I made a choice when she was young that I wasn't gonna have a bad life for her. So my husband and me have been raising her together since she was 3 months old. So she is his, not biologically, but in any way that counts. So they have to make a choice if they are gonna put that in the past and be a family and move on positively, or if he is gonna throw that in her face that Zayden is not his.
Yeah, okay, but what is the point? The fact that Ms. Hamm's father is not hers biologically does not mean that Mr. Kisner here also has to raise a child that is not biologically his. That is an insane standard to set for a young man, no matter how you look at it. Anyway, here's what Mr. Kisner thinks about all this doubt business.
Child is not yours.
Your Honor, I have so much doubt.
I don't believe that, because when I was around him in the beginning for 6 months, he was, you know, all about Ashley's pregnancy. And every time he had doubt was when he came back from his family's house, okay?
So you feel like he was buying in, he was trying to step into this role of father. And
well, at least let the man speak for himself. Anyway, let us now actually see who is speaking the truth. Is Mr. Kisner the father, or is someone else this baby's father? It is time to end the charade and see who the father really is.
Mr. Kisner, you are not the father. Obviously, there were some facts left out of your testimony. Do you know who Zayden's father is, since it's been determined that it is not?
Really not.
You don't really know?
I just don't get it. I was with him every day.
Mr. Page is 1,000,000% certain that Ms. Brooks was sleeping with her friend while she dated him, and that her child actually belongs to that friend. However, Ms. Brooks says this is just nonsense, and that child could never belong to Mr. Wilson. Let's see how this entire drama began.
She every time I come home from work, she out with Mr. Wilson. So I don't know what she's doing at work. When I'm at work, she calls me. When I'm at work, I call her. But when I'm getting off, she'll don't pick up, don't nothing. I call everybody that she hangs around around with, they won't pick up. So to me, I think she tells them not to pick up the phone when everything is going on. When I come home, he might have my child holding him, whatever, I don't know.
Wow, this relationship is really on the rocks. And honestly, it seems like they have more issues than just a paternity issue. Because even without a paternity issue, it seems this is not a sustainable living arrangement. The funny thing is, Ms. Brooks says that Mr. Page was great when she was pregnant, but Mr. Page has a different view of this issue.
Thing ain't changed, Your Honor. What changed is her not being home when I come home at night with her and my son being around Mr. Wilson, her friend. That's what it comes from.
This man, Mr. Wilson, was he the ex you were in a 9-year relationship with?
The ex that I was in a 9-year relationship with was a female. That means I had no penetration whatsoever in 9 years.
And she's still talking to her now.
Well, clearly she's not the father.
Yeah, okay, so she is not the problem. So who is the problem, and how do they contribute to the doubt that Mr. Page has about this kid being his own? Let us see what Mr. Page has to say about.
Longer than she knew me, so they've been messing around or whatever they've been doing. I know Black's Facebook page is dedicated just to her and my son. And I have evidence right here saying that, yes.
Let me see this evidence. Jerome?
That is just my friend. We take
Tell me if that looks, please tell me if that looks like a relationship or a friendship.
We go out, Your Honor, he helps.
There's no space in between the bodies, Your Honor.
Okay, first of all, why is that the header of Mr. Wilson's Facebook page? Ms. Brooks says they are just friends, but it kind of looks like they might be something more. I mean, if you didn't know either of them, you would rightly assume that they were in a relationship. And it kind of gets worse.
All photos of you?
All dedicated to
Mr. Wilson? That's the baby in there?
Yes.
But that's just a picture of me and the baby, though.
But they always with each other.
It's one of his profile pictures.
Yes, I'm the best thing that's...
I mean, look at that.
And then that's Mr. Wilson with Ivion.
Yes, and he has been there. Like, he is really upset because...
How's he been there?
He's been there because you're not.
With him.
Wow, she cleared him with that. It seems Mr. Page is only doubting Ms. Brooks because he just can't handle the financial responsibilities that come with being a father. He just can't do it. He is trying and trying, but it just ain't working. But Ms. Brooks is also kind of at fault because of this.
It's a lie. I was there. I waited till he was born and I left. I had to go to work. I can't call out 2-3 days in a row thinking I'm gonna still have a job. They don't care about that, so I had to go to work.
I'm afraid to ask this, but after Mr. Page left, did Mr. Wilson make an appearance?
Yes.
Yes, he made an appearance, but way later. Because I made him.
He didn't come to the next day, but when I come to the place, I got my son ready to walk out the door.
Whoa, that is sure to get any man angry. Mr. Page says Mr. Wilson never lets anyone know that the child isn't his and that he is merely the godfather, and he blames Ms. Brooks for this. And here is how Mr. Page puts it.
Telling them that they're having sex and all this.
He's saying what?
That they're having sex.
Who's he telling this to?
Mr. Wilson does go around lying to people and saying that he had sex with me. I did not know that at first. I recently found out. Me and him had a problem with each other. Of course, I told him this because I'm upset about this. Because but we were in the out first.
But they're still best friends.
Wow. That is insane. And Mr. Page says that Ms. Brooks always tells him that he is not the father of the child. But Ms. Brooks says she says that because she gets angry. Anyway, here is what Mr. Wilson says about the entire situation.
We're still best friends. That's like one of the fellas, you know, that's my homie, except for she's female.
So you're best friends?
Yes.
What is...
on my lunch breaks, stop past Sam, I spend time with him, take him to the park. How would that be allowed? You never there. You too busy playing the game, chilling with your homeboys.
I don't have no homeboys and friends. When I get off, I go to work, get off work. I might play the video game, but best believe my son got a bottle in his mouth, or my potential son has a bottle in his mouth.
Whoa, Mr. Wilson really has a lot of things to say to Mr. Page, but their issues are not the point of this entire case. The point is to see who the real father is, and it is now time to read out the DNA test results and see.
Mr. Wilson, you are not the father.
Told you.
Mr. Page, you are the father.
Told you. Now, Ronnie and I go through all of this just to prove that. All of this.
It makes no sense that you with somebody who keep lying on you. That don't make no sense.
They think Mr. Brown is an indentured servant, but he's really just a poor husband who was caught having an affair by his wife. Today, he's in court to prove that he isn't the father of 26-year-old Ms. Brown, and the case starts with both parties trying to interrupt Judge Lauren at every point.
Love triangle with him and his wife.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Yes, 1 week ago, you reopened your child support case in which you state Mr. Brown owes you $20,624.08.
Yes, Your Honor. That's a lie, Your Honor. That's not
Mr. Brown, you and your wife claim you can't be the father.
At least let the judge speak. Anyway, Ms. Brown has always been told that Mr. Brown here is her father, and Mr. Brown and his wife have always denied it. Today's the day we get to know the truth, and there are too many people trying to tell the court the truth. They aren't even letting themselves speak.
Because my husband don't want her.
It's still going on.
She's still
for 26 years, it's still been going on. These people been denying my daughter for 26 years. She don't know who her daddy is. 26 years they've been denying my...
Ladies, give me a minute.
Yeah, give us a minute. You'll get all the time in the world you need to speak. Ms. Jackson, who is Ms. Brown's mom, says she met Mr. Brown at a club, and then they got hot for each other. And then one thing led to another, and then they made Miss Brown. Funny thing is that Mr. Brown was dating Mrs. Brown at the time, and this is what happened later that night.
We danced, we partied, and then we went to the apartment.
Is that an apartment?
Not mine. No, that's a lie.
It was an apartment, Your Honor.
Whose apartment?
It was their apartment. We was in the back of the room. She came in the door. She said, come on out, let me talk to you. She left, and then later on, we were still in the apartment. I didn't know that he was dating her.
This is really all shades of messy. Mrs. Brown admits that she caught Mr. Brown getting all hot with Ms. Jackson, and there we have it. It's a possibility that Mr. Brown is the father. And now this is what happened months later.
After that, this was some months later, when I got to my apartment, I unlocked the door with the key. So at that point, I had sliding walk-in closets. I heard my closet door slide open.
You could hear it?
Yes, ma'am. And I heard somebody grab the bed and went in the closet. I said, oh no. When I got inside, I went right to the closet, opened the door. She standing up there naked.
Mr. Brown, you dirty dog. And he looks like he knows he did all of this too. He isn't even denying it. But if Mr. Brown and Mrs. Brown all know that Mr. Brown slept with Ms. Jackson, why are they denying young Ms. Brown here? They must have a very good reason, right? Let's see.
I told him that I had a miscarriage. He stated to me, Your Honor, said that don't worry about nothing. We would try to have another child. I told the next time, I told him that I was pregnant. I took the test. I told him I was pregnant. We went to the clinic. The doctor has stated to me and him that I was pregnant.
So you went together. Mr. Brown, do you remember going with her to the clinic?
No, Your Honor.
And that's the most unconvincing no you'll ever hear on paternity court. I have absolutely no doubts that if Mrs. Brown weren't here, Mr. Brown would have no problem admitting this. But at least he remembers sleeping with Ms. Jackson without protection. So why does he deny Ms. Brown?
Well, Your Honor, I've seen too many things happen. Like one morning, I thought she was at work. Come find out, she was out with another man.
Well, was she supposed to be committed to you when you were committed to her?
Yes, we was kind of like staying together.
Oh, so at that point, you and Ms. Jackson were living together?
Yeah, we were staying together.
Okay.
Sorry, Ms. Brown, but I don't think that's gonna fly today. Mrs. Brown really wants to say her piece, and she could care less. And look at her yap.
He told me he hadn't been home in 2 months, Your Honor.
Just Honor, he was with me. Back and forth.
Your Honor,
okay, and so when he was away and with Ms. Brown, were you with anybody else?
No, I was in Albany, Georgia. I was staying with
during
my
that time, Your Honor, when
he'll come to Georgia on Friday, and he'll leave that Friday evening and go and back to Jacksonville to her.
Good. At least now we know what we're dealing with. Mrs. Brown insists that the timeline doesn't add up. She also says that anytime Ms. Jackson is asked for a DNA test, she gets mad. Well, she's here today, and she will get those test results. Anyway, Ms. Jackson has more evidence for us.
Was he at the hospital when she was born?
Yes.
No, he wasn't.
He came in the hospital, Your Honor.
He wasn't there when she was born.
He asked me where she was. The nurse brought her back in the room. He put the robe on her, and he fed her. Not only that, just when she was born.
Wow! And to go from doing that to saying that the child isn't his, and not contributing anything to the child's well-being for the last 26 years? Okay, that's insane, even for paternity court.
Did you take her around places with you, Mr. Brown?
Yes, I did.
She has your last name?
Yes, Your Honor.
That he didn't give her. Yes. So he said he did not sign her birth certificate.
So that's what I want to know.
No, he said, I asked my husband over and over again, did you sign the birth certificate? When Timothy was born.
I don't know. Phew. So while she was sleeping with Mr. Brown, she was dating another man who married her, but then got his marriage to her annulled because he had another wife in another state. What is going on here? But Miss Brown has real proof that Mr. Brown signed her birth certificate.
That's a birth certificate that's a fake, Your Honor. That is a fraud. Her mama been lying to her, and she's sitting here and believing her.
No. So wait, on this birth certificate, it does say Dwight Stanley Brown.
He named me and he spelled the name.
He was with me. Doing a tag that birth certificate.
Now, I do not see a signature on this birth certificate,
because he did not sign it.
Wow. wow. This just gets worse and worse and worse. And it's about to get even worse, because Mrs. Brown here has got a chart that she'd like to show all of us.
Okay, the first time, it was 1990. I paid money to have a test done for her. She didn't show up. Again, the summer of 90. She don't, let me keep calling me, that's an insult about DNA testing. Every time we asked for something. Same thing in 1992. Okay, then we went to Miss Jackson again. Went up to the lab again to get a DNA testing. I paid my money, okay? My husband didn't pay child support, Your Honor. I did. I took care of her.
That's true.
Yeah, this is as good as it gets on paternity court. You may think, well, it cannot get worse than this. Well, you'd be wrong, because there's one more twist in this case. Here is the evidence Miss Jackson just submitted.
This is a document signed by Dwight Stanley Brown.
Yes.
This is an acknowledgement of paternity.
That's not my husband's signature.
Signed the 24th day of September 1990.
He did write his name. That is not my husband's signature there.
This is substantially similar to me.
If it's my signature, I wouldn't misspell my own name.
Where do you see it's misspelled?
Right up there where the L and the E is.
This is just insane. The suspense is killing. This has to be one of the craziest cases on paternity court ever. Let's get to the end of this case and finally see who really is the father here. Is it Mr. Brown or someone else?
Mr. Brown, you are her father.
Jesus.
And you knew that. You knew that. Are you all right, Tanika?
Ms. Woods is a proud fast breeder. Yes, you heard that right. She says fast breeding is a superpower, and she's got it. And this time, she's used her superpowers to get pregnant for Mr. Volmar and insists he is her baby's father. Mr. Volmar says Ms. Woods is a liar, but Ms. Woods says that's a complete lie.
I was going through some issues with my other kid's father, and one night I went to the club and wound up running into Mr. Volmar. He actually walked up to me while I was having a drink, and he whispered in my ear and told me that I looked like something that he could see himself with. So we exchanged numbers. I wound up leaving the club. He called me the following morning and asked me, can I come over to his house?
And that's exactly why we are here in paternity court. Ms. Woods says the condom popped, and she told him that he was in trouble. Here's exactly how she put it.
I told him, I'm a fast breeder. I have 4 other kids. So
a fast breeder?
Yes, I'm a fast breeder.
Definitely a fast breeder. Let's just say fertile.
Yes, I'm fertile. I'm sorry.
Okay.
He told me he was in a relationship for 5 years, and the girl wasn't able to, get pregnant.
So you admit you had a sexual relationship with Ms. Woods?
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. And guess what, Mr. Volmar? That's enough. Mr. Volmar says he never thought Ms. Woods' child was his. In fact, he says he just told her congratulations when she got pregnant. What a stand-up guy this man is. So why did he even think he isn't the baby's father?
Remember the night that the condom broke? There was a couple of nights the condom broke, and I just said, you know what? If I got it, I already got it. Who needs condoms anymore?
So wait, you're admitting that then you started having unprotected sex with her?
Oh, a lot of it.
Okay, so the point is that you admit that you could be this child's father?
I don't know.
You don't know, but you could be.
I don't know because, I've tried it before. It didn't work. I don't know.
So when you say you tried it before and it didn't work, what do you mean?
I tried to get 3 different women pregnant.
That's kind of what happens when you're with a fast breeder, Mr. Volmar. Try to keep up with the program. It's the big leagues now, and fast breeders do what fast breeders do, which is breed very fast. Now here's what our fast breeder has to say.
Yeah, he wasn't the father because I was staying with a man at the time.
You lived with him. You just can't visit me.
It does not matter. I was at your house every day, so how I had time to have sex with you and have sex with him?
Well, wait a minute now, Ms. Woods.
In the bed with him. I mean, of course you're gonna have sex.
Ms. Woods, if you were living with him, you were still in a relationship with him, right?
Right, I was in a relationship with my other kid's father, but I was not having sex with him within that month I conceived.
What a guy. Heat of the moment? Well, now the moment's really hot, and you've got to step up to the plate if you're the dad, Mr. Volmar. You ain't got no choice. But Mr. Volmar doesn't accept this because he thinks he was a good side piece.
Oh, I'm the side piece. I'm a good side piece.
So wait a minute. You had Mr. Volmar.
She'll be on the phone with her boyfriend. I'll be laying in the bed, rubbing on her booty while she's talking to him. Okay, I was a good side dude. I didn't say anything. He had no problems. Come over whenever you want. We had fun.
Oh, Lord.
Even Judge Lauren is already tired of all of this, and this case is about to get even crazier. Ms. Woods cannot even get a word out without Mr. Volmar interrupting her with some nonsense.
I was staying with him at the time, so I'm stuck having a baby.
Are you?
Yeah, I had the baby.
By who?
By you.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. I'm 100% sure.
I don't even know his name.
Look at that baby. That baby looks just like you. She don't look nothing like me. That baby don't have anything for me but my toes. That baby look exactly like him. His eyes, his nose, his facial structure. That baby look just like him.
Jeez, what a man. It doesn't look like Mr. Volmar is taking this seriously at all. He might be a great side piece, but it doesn't look like this fellow will make a good dad at all. That's why Ms. Woods says she didn't want to have a baby with him, but if she really didn't, then why did she sleep with him without protection? Even Judge Lauren asks the same question.
I deal with
but
him.
But Ms. Woods, you were dealing with him.
Yeah,
that's why we're here.
Because I was going through something with my other
She
kids'
likes
father.
the ignorance, Your Honor.
I was going through something with my other kids' father. At the time, he made me feel good about myself.
Before meeting Mr. Volmar, Ms. Woods had an okay life, but then she messed it up by getting with this side piece. Why would she even do all that? And she's got a good answer for us. Trust me, you'll love this answer.
It was just so much going on with my other kids' father, like the fussing and fighting, like I got tired of that.
So let's go cheat on him.
Pretty much.
Good job. Good job.
You sleep with Mr. Volmar, another guy.
No, we had sex. There was no sleeping.
Oh.
Sex. No sleeping.
Let's just be respectful in court.
We just love an accountable queen on paternity court, don't we? She ruined her relationship, became a fast breeder for Mr. Volmar, and now is in paternity court. What an extraordinary 24 months period for Ms. Woods here. And Mr. Volmar shows just how crazy he is when this happens.
I called him when I was in labor giving birth to my child.
You called me 8 months later. 8 months.
He blocked me off of his phone. What you want me to do?
I found out she was pregnant within 2 to 3 months. She was gone.
Blocking a woman who could be carrying your baby. Really? But before we check out the results, Mr. Volmar here has one more joke for us. And that happens when Judge Lauren invites a doctor to examine if he really does have a low sperm count.
The rest of the analysis shows that he also had good motility of sperm, which is also important because the sperm have to swim to the egg in order to fertilize it.
How can they swim? I can't swim.
Well, your sperm can certainly swim.
So you're becoming a clown, and this is not a circus, this is a courtroom.
I understand.
We're getting the information concerning your body and your potential conceiving this beautiful baby. It's not a joke.
The doctor concludes that it's possible for Mr. Volmar to get a woman pregnant, especially if that woman is a fast breeder. And we all know who the fast breeder in this courtroom is. Let's put an end to this once and for all and find out who's really the father of this baby. Mr. Volmar or someone else?
Mr. Volmar, you are the father.
Thank you. Thank you. You're the father. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Exactly, looking just like him. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Little tried to get a DNA test done on Jasmine Degree, but she and her mother refused to show up 4 separate times. And today, they are both in court claiming that Mr. Little is Jasmine's father and that he should start coughing up child support. Mr. Little says there's no way that is ever happening. And here is what Jasmine has to say about that.
I was about 9 years old. Me and all my siblings was in the living room. We was discussing fathers. And that's when my mom told me who I believe was my biological father, who had been in my life since I was younger, wasn't. And she told me that Mr. Little was.
Really? Mr. Little, you told an 11-year-old that you needed to get a DNA test? That is wild. In fact, he says this is his first time seeing Jasmine, and he had absolutely no idea who she was. And that is why he thought that the best thing to do was to talk about DNA tests with an actual child.
She said, no, you my father.
She said, you are my father.
I don't believe I said that.
You said, my mother told me you're my father. So I was like, listen, I don't know if you is or you're not. We need to tell you, we need to take a test.
Okay, Mr. Tests, so let us go way back to when Miss Degree was conceived. How did all of this even begin? How did Mr. Little get involved with Miss Degree's mom? And come on, what are even the chances that this man is Jasmine's father? Well, Mr. Little has something to say about that.
Pregnant.
I knew she was pregnant. That's what she told my brother, that it wasn't mine. My brother said, is this gonna be my nephew or niece? No, it ain't your brother's. Okay, I'm
Well, if she told you that,
it's
then
funny, you don't remember
Why you trying to hold up, I got a little proof right here that we messed around in August.
The evidence here is a recreated calendar that illustrates Mr. Little's point. And his point is that he saw Ms. Degree's mom in November, and she told him she was 3 months pregnant at the time. He then says that he last slept with her in August, which means he could not be the father of her baby's child. That is great logic, too. Jasmine does not agree.
So-called believe, and if my mom said it wasn't yours, why are you searching for me so-called?
Why I'm searching for you?
If I am your child.
Why I'm searching for you?
But you should
Hold on.
But you
hold up. The reason why I'm searching for you, because I got a little evidence right here. If they start taking stuff out my check, I'm called, I want to take a DNA test because I want to get it stopped.
Wow, Mr. Little is on a roll. He has so many pieces of evidence it is impossible to keep track. His new evidence is that he tried to get a DNA test done, but the Degrees just never showed up to get the test, and that leads to a shouting match.
And they tried to get in contact with her for a DNA test. She never showed up. I paid for 2 tests that they never showed up for. Hold up, did I ask you to come to Jersey?
Let's get some order. You know, when you went on assistance, you were asked to give a name.
Yes, I was.
Did you give only his name, or were there multiple people?
I gave Canny Little names.
It should have been multiple names.
Wow, so there were other men on that beat? Jeez. Mr. Little is still hung up on this and says that Ms. Degree should never have told her daughter that another man was her father. And this again leads to yet another shouting match.
And granted, that's my fault, but see, me being an adult, I can accept that and take that. But you being an adult and claim the fact that you never took care of her.
I ain't taking care of her.
You sitting here, you sounding stupid.
I ain't sound, you sound stupid.
Talking about, oh, I had multiple this and that.
You did.
Truthfully, you ain't even know who I was.
Yeah, cut it out. I think we have seen just about enough. It is time to get to the bottom of this case and find out if Jasmine Degree is actually Mr. Little's daughter. Let's have Judge Lauren read out the DNA test results. Now.
Mr. Little, you are her father.
This my father.
Ms. Quiller has tested 2 other men as potential fathers for her daughter, and both tests have returned negative. She is now saying that Ms. Briggs' dead son is her last hope for paternity for her child. Meanwhile, Ms. Briggs says her deceased son never told her anything about having a child with Ms. Quiller. Here is how Ms. Quiller puts it.
The potential fathers tested and their paternity test came out to be negative. Mrs. Briggs' son would be my last hope of paternity for my daughter.
Can you describe for the court the nature of your relationship with Mr. Jones?
Mr. Jones and I, we were really just friendly. It was one night that I came home from the club, and it just that particular night the alcohol in me was talking. It was a one-time thing. It happened one time, and we socialized.
Miss Briggs says she has known Miss Quiller for a while, and that she is really a good person. So when she heard that she could have had a son by her son, she thought it was all providence. This was such a painful moment for her because of the loss of her son. This is so emotional for Miss Quiller too.
I feel like Nora deserves to know who her father is. I had the opportunity to meet my father when I was 17, and we have each other's number, and we still don't conversate with one another. And I feel like oh my God. I feel like Melissa deserves to know if she has a grandchild or not, and if she has another sibling.
This is just so touching. You can see that Ms. Quiller loves her kid very, very much. Mrs. Briggs also loves her potential grandchild very much. And despite not being told by her son in real life that she might have a grandchild, she still hopes Nora's her grandchild.
And at that point, she told you that her son...
She looked at her and she said, "This is my grandbaby."
And so when you saw this beautiful baby, you said, "This is my grandbaby"?
I just knew that she was my granddaughter. I had been dreaming about her for days. Like, my son was showing me this little girl in my dreams, and I was like, okay, what does this mean? And a few days later, here she is.
This is just so touching. Now let us put an end to this suspense and see if Ms. Briggs is correct. Is this really her grandchild, or were her dreams about this baby being hers just a coincidence? Well, the results may shock you. Hang on to your seats because this might be a wild one.
Pertaining to whether Miss Melissa Briggs is likely the grandmother of 3-year-old Nora Quiller. Miss Briggs, you are not her grandmother. So sorry.
Thomas and Ms. Stalwart are in court today to fight over a homeless man. That's right. Mr. Hadley here doesn't have a place to rest his head, and Ms. Thomas claims he is the father of her baby. Ms. Stalwart, who is Mr. Hadley's current girlfriend, says no way that's true. This homeless man belongs to me. Let's listen to Ms. Thomas.
I just know that we're in a love triangle between me and Tyler, and this is just going on for way too long. He keeps denying my son, but he's still around him all the time. He's acts like a father towards him when he's with me, and then he goes to Tyler and acts like he's not.
I don't act like a father towards the child at all.
Yes, he does.
Why do you think he's denying?
He's denying for Tyler.
That's really straightforward, right? But there's no such thing as straightforward in paternity court because things are about to get really awkward.
Do you spend quality time with Jeremiah like that, Mr.
No
Hadley?
quality time. But, you know, if Miss Thomas is busy doing something, yeah, I'll pat the back of the child to get the child to, you know, stop yelling. But
there's times when I'm laying in the bed and he's patting his back.
So, Ms. Thomas, you submitted a photo to the court.
Yes.
What an interesting case. Mr. Hadley is basically saying that the only reason Miss Thomas says he's her child's father is because he's great with children. That sounds obviously bonkers, but it looks like it's the argument that Ms. Thomas is going with. Also, why is Mr. Hadley around her all the time when he has his own partner? Let's see.
I was friends with Mrs. Thomas before, you know, me and...
But was it friends with benefits? Was it friends and you were having sex as well?
It didn't
let's be clear in court.
It didn't lead to sex until way later on.
But you did have a sexual relationship with her.
Yeah.
Did you use protection when you had sex?
The first time.
Wow. Okay, so there was a good bunch of bed romping and only one of 2 of these had any plastic involvement. That means in theory this baby could belong to Mr. Hadley, right? The funny thing is that Mr. Hadley also stayed with her throughout the pregnancy and the child has his child's last name, but he has a good excuse for why that happened.
You know, out of respect, you know, everything I'm going, so while I'm there, they're about to name the child and she says the child's last name is gonna be Hadley. So, you know, she's Jamaican and her whole family's Jamaican, so it's a whole bunch of Jamaicans in the room and they're like, oh, is the child's last name gonna be Hadley? And I'm not finna just
they didn't say that.
Disrespect.
Hey officer, I didn't consent to robbing a store with my friend. I just didn't disagree with his idea due to it being bad vibes. Do you know how you sound, Mr. Hadley? That's how you sound. And Miss Thomas has got even more damning evidence that Mr. Hadley is her child's dad.
To Jeremiah having the last name Hadley.
I just didn't disagree due to the fact that her whole family was in the room.
Why are you so convinced he is your child's biological father, Miss Thomas?
Because around the time where we had sex and the time my doctor told me that I conceived my son.
Do you have any evidence to support that?
Yes, I have my calendar right here.
Jerome, will you hand me this calendar?
That sounds like decent logic. Mr. Hadley also admits that he slept with her on that date without protection, but he then says he wasn't the only man sleeping with her around that period. And Ms. Thomas admits that too.
However, the time of conception, the date I had sex with the other guy was Saturday the 26th of April.
Oh, so you had, okay, wait. Hold on. You're saying, Mr. Hadley, you know for certain that she was intimate with someone else, and Ms. Thomas, you are confirming his assertion.
Yes.
Mr. Hadley sounds so disappointed that she used a condom with the other guy. Maybe you should have used a condom as well, mister. Anyway, it's time to hear from the other woman in this love triangle.
So, Ms. Stallworth, are you in agreement with Mr. Hadley that this is not his biological child?
Yes, Your Honor.
And why do you believe that to be so?
Because she was sleeping with somebody else around the same time, and the test that came back inconclusive.
And you two are in a relationship, Mr. Hadley and yourself, you all are in a relationship now?
No.
Yeah, so if I am getting this right, this is a homeless man who used to sleep with the person he is squatting with, who takes care of her child like his own, but claims he isn't the father of her child and is trying to date another woman. Am I getting this right? Really, Mr. Hadley. Now, Judge Lauren asks the vital question.
Hold on. Your things are with Miss Thomas. They're at her house.
Some of them, yes.
Some of them?
Yes.
Where do you live?
With her.
No, he doesn't.
Now you live with Miss Stallworth?
No.
But your clothes are at Miss Thomas's.
He lives with me.
Who are you intimate with right now?
Miss Stallworth.
Miss Stallworth.
It's a back and forth. It's been like that for 2 years.
Wow. I really cannot think of a worse situation for a child to be born into. These 3 adults need to immediately get their stuff together because this situation may sound funny, but it ain't looking pretty at all. And it gets even worse.
Miss Thomas, when's the last time you were intimate with Mr. Hadley?
A couple weeks ago.
That's a lie.
It's not that long ago.
That is a lie.
You're laughing, Miss Stallworth?
Because
she doesn't know. She's not there. She doesn't live with me.
I can't say if it's true or not, but from what I'm getting from him, it's not.
It's not true.
It's not like that.
I never even meant for it to even go this far with Mrs. Thomas.
It's pretty sad that 2 pretty ladies can be fighting over a man who doesn't even have a place to put his head. But all sorts of things happen in paternity court. It's time to put ourselves out of this misery once and for all and see who the father of the baby is.
Mr. Hadley, you are not his father.
Oh my God.
No, you gotta stop.
Yes, he has to stop.
And listen, you all have a part to play in this. But before you start getting on your high horse, Mr. Hadley. Let's be clear. You've got to stop.
Mrs. Rawlings is a bed-hopping mom who hopped from Mr. Kid's bed to another man's bed and now right back into his bed. She's such an athlete, isn't she? Now she's telling Mr. Kid that the child she got from her bed hoping adventures doesn't actually belong to him because she thinks he's impotent. True story. Here is how she puts it.
I didn't have anywhere to go. And that's how me and Mr. Kid ended up having relations because I was staying with him. But as, you know, everything progressed and everything started off, somehow another female came into the picture. And I went off and did my own thing and was dealing with him and another gentleman also.
Oh wow, we've got a bed-hopping mum here. If you're bed-hopping as a mum, well, don't be shocked when you end up hopping right in front of Judge Lauren. So when Rawlings got preggo, who did she tell? Well, that's where things get a bit complicated.
When I found out I was pregnant, Mr. Kid told me himself that he had some type of rare form blood disease and that me and his child would die if I was pregnant by him.
Oh, he had a rare blood disease.
No.
And if he got you pregnant, the baby would not be able to be carried full term?
Your Honor, it's not a rare blood disease.
Yikes. This means he isn't really impotent. And Rawlings here just finds it super duper hard to understand the biology behind blood types. Phew, that's a relief. But let's cut Rawlings here some slack because Kid also said some cuckoo stuff to her.
I'm typically in a long-term relationship. I've never had any kind of hiccups, any thinking that they might be pregnant, any slip-ups, no.
You've never gotten anyone pregnant?
No, ma'am.
And Ms. Jenkins, when did you find out about the baby?
It was approximately the mid of August of 2016.
Okay, now that we've got that right out of the way, let's get to how Mr. Kid's mom even learned that she might have a grandson. Hold on to your seats, because this goes crazy.
I got a phone call from my daughter, and she said, Mom, you need to look at this picture. Sent me a picture of the baby. I was like, who got my son's baby pictures? She said, that's not your son. I said, yes, that is. I gave birth to him. I know who he is. She said, that's his son. And I was like, what? Hold on. No, why am I just now hearing about this? So I contacted his friend who gave me Miss Rawlings' number.
That's so sweet. You can tell this mama really loves her grandbaby. Sadly, we don't know if Sugarfoot is her actual grandbaby, and that's because Sugarfoot's mother says this.
You know Mr. Kid is not your child's biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a manipulation tactic.
It was, as long as you were giving her what she wanted and needed at the time, it was okay. I've never one time been told I wasn't the grandmother. She did not ever say that she doubted full-heartedly that Kevin was the father.
So Rawlings here is trying to manipulate both father and son into giving her stuff without giving them full ownership of her child. And guess what? It gets even worse because the other potential father is also around. To make things worse, she even had to give the child out because she couldn't get a place to live.
Her choice of men are not just the greatest, I guess, in the world. He wasn't safe. She wasn't safe. She was trying to get her life together. She gave me the baby for a period of time with a handwritten...
How long?
I had him for a month and a couple days. And I got a handwritten letter of custody.
Let me see that, Jerome.
No, it wasn't.
You said it was a handwritten letter of custody.
Temporary custody.
This is just so messy, but I think we've heard enough. It's time to get right to the bottom of this case and get the DNA results. What do you think it will be? Will the baby belong to Mr. Kid or some other man? Let's find out.
Mr. Kid, you are the father. You are the father.
Thank you. And at least even the fact that he said that he would have stood up, that was what I was still going for, period. The fact that that is his son, I am happy because me and him, we don't have a hate-type relationship.
Mr. Pace says he needed a pacemaker when he found out that his partner cheated on him with his best friend and that his child may not actually be his. Phew. And Ms. Rashida Forbes admits everything. Now, they are both in court to find out who the real father is. Let's hear how it all went down.
She ended up moving in with me and Mr. Randolph. Shortly after her moving in, she became pregnant. Once we found that out, being that she wanted her own space, we ended up moving into another spot together. And that's where I've been ever since as far as in the relationship with her.
All right.
Yikes. That must suck. To sleep with your man's best friend? That's extremely cold-blooded. Mr. Pace says he works a lot, but that's certainly not an excuse to cheat on your partner, right? Here is how Mr. Pace puts it.
I do work a lot. I promote clubs and parties, so I am out and I am around a lot of, I would say, women. And she kind of, I guess, takes that as me being unfaithful.
So were there trust issues?
At times, but not at the time that the situation occurred, no.
Wow, so he was a good man, and Rashida here just decided to sleep with his best friend because she was feeling insecure. What a horrible thing to do. And how did Mr. Pace even find out about this great betrayal?
Actually in a heated argument at the time that it occurred, but it kind of just got blurted out to me that Mr. Randolph could be a potential father for Prince.
Wait a minute, so you're in a heated argument as a couple, and just out of the blue she yells, and by the way, your best friend could be Prince's father?
Correct.
Really? Now get this. Randolph continued being friends with Mr. Pace, even after sleeping with his partner, and he said nothing about it. Gosh, what a horrible thing to do. Mr. Pace has been treated so horribly by both of these people. This is what happened when Mr. Pace confronted his best friend with the truth.
Meeting with him, we kind of all agreed, me and him agreed that we definitely needed to find out what was going on as far as the DNA of...
So when you met with Mr. Randolph, you asked him point blank, have you slept with Ms. Fobbs?
Yes, I did.
And he said yes.
Strangely enough, he did say yes.
That's commendable. Randolph here is such a stand-up guy that he easily admits that he slept with his best friend's girl. Too bad he was not stand-up enough not to actually do it. Anyway, let's hear from him. How could he do something so horrible?
I wasn't in the right state of mind. We both was intoxicated. He was out promoting clubs, and she used to come home from the club intoxicated and, you know, looking for him. He's not there. Me and her talk, and, you know, one night the talk led to something else.
And so was this sex unprotected?
Honestly, Your Honor, I was intoxicated.
Wow, so there's a really huge chance that the child in question doesn't belong to Mr. Pace, but instead belongs to his best friend. That is soul-crushing. But the good thing is that Randolph says that it was just one time, but one time is one time too many, right? Now, let's listen to Rashida tell us why she blurted out this huge secret the way she did.
I want to hold that secret, and it was something that was weighing heavy on me. So maybe it wasn't the right approach for me to give it to him at that way, but I just feel like now we're at the point of no return, so I have to do what I have to do.
So you say it was weighing heavy on you?
Yeah.
Rashida says that only Mr. Pace has been in the child's life as a father, and the boy basically only knows Randolph as an uncle. She also says she is definitely sure that one of the men in court today is her child's father, so let's see just how true that is. Let's check out the DNA test result.
Mr. Pace, you are not his father. It has also been determined by this court, Mr. Randolph, you are not.
It's a real shock that Mr. Milford can even be in court today, and that's because he was exposed to radiation while he was in the Army, and he says that radiation means he cannot father a child. And yup, that's why Mr. Milford is flabbergasted that Ms. Johnson is saying he is the father of her child. So she's either a liar, or radiation doesn't actually take away your fathering abilities. Which is it? Let's figure it out.
Your Honor, she never told me she was pregnant.
I did.
She always told me she had a tumor.
I'm sleeping with you. How would you think it's a tumor?
She told me she had a tumor.
How would you think it's a tumor if I'm sleeping with you the whole time?
Did you know at this point that he had a child with your cousin as well?
Yes, I did.
At what point did you find out you were pregnant?
I actually knew I was pregnant. I didn't tell anybody.
When?
I was like 5 months, 5 or 6 months.
Wow, there's clearly no love lost between these two. Ms. Johnson is determined to put Milford's feet to the fire, and boy oh boy is he sweating. And she has no plans of stopping at all. She's gonna steamroll this man into joining the Army again.
I was scared. I was young. I was scared. I already had 2 children. I didn't want to be pregnant again. I've been actually dating Dwayne since I was 17 with my second son, which is not his. I ended up getting pregnant with Key Harris later.
Now, Mr. Milford, when she finally
told me she was 7 months pregnant when she told me.
So she said, and I'm 7 months.
Yeah.
At that moment, did you have instant doubt, or did you think,
it was instant doubt?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on a minute. Ms. Johnson here doesn't look like the type of woman who would be in the back room with a man, right? Let's see what she says to refute this.
Yeah, I slept with other people. I did.
I said, well, just tell her that man must be the baby daddy.
And nobody ever, because that conversation never happened. That never happened.
I went on about my business.
He come to my house and asked me, could he see his son?
Oh, wait, back up. When you saw him, did you say, oh, wow, that could be my son?
No.
Oh, you didn't? But you used to sit and rock him and hold him for hours?
Wow, they really don't like each other, huh? Ms. Johnson says that she told her son that Mr. Milford wasn't his father because he was a deadbeat who only did anything for her kids because she slept with him. You might think that sounds insane, but it's not even half as insane as the fight they have after Ms. Johnson said that.
I didn't want him to be the father, but I know he is. So he wasn't around.
Your Honor.
Mr. Milford?
Yes, look, my mother told me to get this straight before she died. So I went down to the DNA place. She didn't show up. This the
It
third
never
time.
happened.
The
When did
third
that happen?
time.
When did that happen?
The third time she showed up with the kids and got to arguing with the DNA people. And
that never happened.
And they ran out the door.
When I lived in the county, I was in another relationship.
So wait, Ms. Johnson was still sleeping with him throughout all of this? Well, whose fault is that, really? But Mr. Milford still has a lot to say, and Ms. Johnson has a lot to shut him up with.
Let me tell you something, Your Honor. I've been shooting blanks since about 1986. I ain't had no more children. Yeah.
We have 2 children.
I ain't got nothing. There's no other.
We have 2 children.
Other children.
You are not sleeping blank.
From since I left the military.
You believe you're sterile. Please explain to me.
I worked in air defense artillery in the military, underneath radar. And I think I was sterile till at least about 89. I was knocking down everything, but nothing coming back. Nobody else had babies.
Okay, guys, that concludes it then. Milford was exposed to radiation, and then Ms. Johnson's cousin told him he couldn't be the father. That's enough evidence to get him off the hook, right? Wait, it's not enough? It's not even close to enough? Gosh, too bad, Mr. Milford. But you'll have to prove your case. Let's even hear from the cousin in question.
I had a baby by him first. I dated him all the way through school. I don't understand how they even went there.
Because Ms. Johnson is
my first cousin.
Is your first cousin?
Correct.
Do you believe he's Kiara's father?
Well, no.
You don't?
No, I don't. She was kind of like a roundaway girl, okay?
When you say she, you mean Ms. Johnson?
Correct. She had already had 2 kids, and then she had him.
What? 4 to 5 people? Oh, I think we all can understand where Mr. Milford is coming from now. He knows the odds are in his favor, so he is standing his ground. But why does Ms. Johnson think Mr. Milford is the father if she was sleeping with so many people at the time?
He was the one I was consistently sleeping with. I was sleeping with him practically every day.
No.
But now, Ms. Johnson, you do understand, and I know this happened when you were younger, that it's not just about consistency, it's about the window of conception. Meaning, you could sleep with him consistently for a period of time and yet sleep with someone else one time, and they could still, in fact, be Kiara's father.
True.
Yikes! Classic Mr. Milford there. Always sugarcoating everything everywhere. The cousin says that Milford is at fault for everything, and Ms. Johnson agrees completely.
This could go on forever. I keep giving you all a little leeway to see if maybe we could get somewhere. I still don't understand how one person can go down for a DNA test 3 times. I don't understand why you don't just call and say, hey, they're calling me back in again. You want to all go together so we can get this resolved.
Before we get down to the DNA test results, Mr. Milford calls his daughter to the witness stand, and she has some words for Ms. Johnson, and those words aren't pretty at all.
She hurt by all of it, but she started the mess anyway because...
I started it because your father said something to me.
That's ridiculous. She should have waited.
But your father, Dwayne was the one told me I was doing the wrong thing by separating them because I didn't know what to say.
We were cousins. We were never separated. That's
so now, no, he said I was not acknowledging who y'all actually were together. And I said, I don't know how to go about this. Just tell him.
Yeah, that's enough. Let's get to the bottom of this with the DNA test. Let's see whether Mr. Milford here is the father or there is something else happening here.
Mr. Milford, you are not his father.
Thank you.
Wow.
I'm sorry, Kiara. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, sir.
Oh.
I'm so sorry, Kiara. Mom, I have to ask you, do you have any idea? You do. Do you know how to find him?
Yes.
Hold on to your seats, folks, because the courtroom drama is about to hit the ceiling. We're diving into the tumultuous saga of Gabriella Lopez and her relentless battle to prove that Mr. Carbajal is the father of her 2 little ones, Aliana and Noah. What's the twist? A DNA test they claim is as fake as a $3 bill.
Ms. Lopez, you are here today because you claim the defendant, Mr. Carbajal, allegedly perpetuated a DNA testing scam to try to deny paternity of your kids. You say you are tired of struggling daily to take care of your children alone, and you need to prove he's their biological father today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Strap in as Gabriella paints a picture of a whirlwind romance turned sour. The moment they met, sparks flew, and so did promises of a future together. Fast forward to the pregnancy news, and Mr. Carbaval's excitement was nowhere to be found. Ouch! Talk about a romantic crash landing.
You meet each other,
Yeah.
Yes. Because I'm trying to figure out why was there ever doubt in the first place.
Well, I met her through a social network. She told me, hey, come see me, you know, for the weekend or just one night. So I went to go see her. And that day that I went to go see her, she'd be like, we basically had sex that first night.
It was not
Boom.
that
yes,
first night.
It was.
No,
yes, it
no,
was
it
the
wasn't.
first night. Yes,
No.
it was. Yes, it was.
No, it was not.
Yeah, whatever.
Just when you think it can't get messier, Mr. Carbajal's sister throws a curveball. She's got doubts bigger than the courtroom. According to her, the kids might as well be strangers in their family portrait. And Judge Lake? She's on the edge, folks. Her patience thinner than ice in spring.
They're saying they were at the hospital. You say they weren't?
They were at the hospital after they were born. I was there when Aliana was born, when she was being pulled out of my daughter. Second time around, he wasn't there either for the Noah's birth. I was there for Noah's birth. I was there for both babies.
Why could I be?
Why is it? Because you were never around.
I was gonna go.
You changed your phone number.
Mr. Carbajal steps up with a soap opera-worthy twist. Concerns over a cleft lip that's missing from his family's genetic menu. Gabriella counters with a calendar mix-up defense that could spin heads faster than a merry-go-round. This courtroom has turned it into a battlefield of genetics.
You have an issue regarding the fact that he has a cleft lip. You say no one in your family's ever been born with that. So you believe it's not yours?
Your Honor.
She also sent me a picture of a man holding my baby. So
wait,
that was to get back.
Why would she send
You're
that?
not responsible.
Your
You
Honor.
haven't
And
been
she was
there.
pregnant.
So Ms. Lopez, you sent him a picture?
I sent him a picture.
As the lies unravel, Judge Lake's fury simmers to a boiling point. You're just looking for something to argue about, she blasts, her words sharp enough to slice through the thickest tension. And boom! What the result reveals is something that nobody was expecting. The castle of lies crumbles, leaving nothing but the harsh truth and a courtroom filled with dropped jaws.
Mr. Carbajal, you are not her father. Okay, now we have the answers for Aliana. We still have to get Noah's.
My mom wouldn't have spent so much money on those tests to
We
be
spend a
swabbing
lot of
other
money.
people.
We spend a
other
lot of
kids.
money to do those tests.
You guys should have still told us what you were
No, you
going
think we were
to do.
gonna tell you? Think you guys were gonna let us do it? No.
In the grand finale, Judge Lake doesn't hold back. She serves a reality check that hits harder than a gavel on wood. So you lied because you just didn't want to face the truth, she declares, her disappointment echoing off the walls. It's a lesson in honesty, served cold and hard, right there on national TV.
Mr. Carbajal, you are not.
Thank you.
Noah's
Thank
father.
you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
What do you gotta say? What do you gotta say for yourself? Huh? Why you been lying to me that they're my kids when they're not?
And you know, my
Who you
mom
been
got really
sleeping with?
attached to them.
Fasten your seatbelts because the courtroom drama is about to go full throttle with a tale of emotional manipulation that could make even a soap opera blush. Ms. Renfro is aiming to prove Mr. Toozy is the reluctant father of young Kendall who's caught a genetic disease allegedly from Papa himself.
Ms. Renfro, you claim you are 100% certain that the defendant is the father of your 6-month-old son, Kendall. You say Kendall was born with a serious medical condition and believe it was genetically passed down by the defendant. And that's why today's paternity results are critical. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
The plot thickens as Mr. Toozy spills the beans with a shaky voice and evasive eyes. He admits to memories of intimacy with Ms. Renfro, oh yes, but claims protection was always in play. Wait for it, because he can't remember texts suggesting he might not be the daddy. Oh, the convenient amnesia strikes again. Judge Lake is having none of it. Her eyebrows might just hit the ceiling.
He don't want to take financial responsibility. He hasn't been there. He wasn't there through my pregnancy. When I had the baby, he wasn't there. For his surgery, he wasn't there. I've contacted him. I tried to let him know, and it was still nothing. No response. No, forget about, nothing.
And just when you think it's all said and done, Ms. Renfro throws a curveball that would make a major league pitcher proud. She insists Mr. Toozy's stomach issues, passed through genes, must mean he's the dad. But plot twist, Mr. Toozy denies any such belly bumbles in his family tree. The courtroom's heating up, and Judge Lake's gavel isn't the only thing ready to strike.
Your Honor, I seen him one time. I went over her house one time, and that was it, and I realized the baby just don't look nowhere near like me.
So you admit you have not stepped up to the plate for the baby because you truly don't believe this child is your child.
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, I looked at the baby. Look, the baby looks way too white.
Okay, so Ms. Renfro,
I'm white.
Listen.
But hold your horses. The emotional roller coaster takes another dive as Ms. Renfro, eyes brimming with tears, defends her honor. She claims she never played the field during her time of conception. Yet in a jaw-dropping moment, Mr. Toozy wonders aloud why another man's name graces the birth certificate. It's getting spicy, folks, and Judge Lake is about to turn the heat up even more.
I had sex with him, I got pregnant, and my son had to have surgery at 6 days old. He had to have part of his intestine removed.
So, Your Honor, I don't have any type of medical condition that
And Ms. Renfro,
but it can be passed through your mom, your dad. It could be down the road from anybody in your family. It don't have to be necessarily from you.
what are you feeling in this moment? Just tell me what you're...
My son deserves to know who his dad is.
In a crescendo of courtroom chaos, Judge Lake slices through the tension. Hold on, she commands, as Mr. Toozy hints that Ms. Renfro might just be after his wallet. The allegations fly faster than a speeding bullet, and Ms. Renfro's defense crumbles under the weight of Judge Lake's piercing stare and pointed questions. The judge's gavel is ready, and so is her verdict.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Ms.
Stuff happens.
Oh, wait, hold on, Ms. Renfro. Come on out, you're getting a whole nother little attitude now. I want to see it. So you say stuff happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, it sure does. It sure does.
That ain't my baby.
So you say stuff happened?
Yes, ma'am.
So why don't you testify to what happened
I'm saying what happened.
So what happened?
I messed with
How many
somebody.
men were you sleeping with when you conceived your child?
One.
Testify to that.
One.
Okay.
Curtain call. As the truths unravel, Judge Lake delivers a scorching rebuke that could melt the bench. She comes for Ms. Renfro for her courtroom antics and manipulation, leaving the audience and everyone in the courtroom on the edge of their seats. It's a spectacular showdown where emotional manipulation meets the immovable force of Judge Lake's judicial might.
Mr. Toozy, you are not the father.
Yes!
Oops.
Told you!
Oops. Calm down, Mr.
Calm down.
Toozy. Calm down. This ain't a stadium, and a child's life is truly at stake now.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Renfro,
Yes, ma'am.
that's not your child's biological father.
That's fine. That is fine. I'm okay with that.
Do you know who is?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, no. No.
All aboard the drama train as we chug into the station of irresponsibility and denial. Watch your step, because things are about to get slippery with Mr. Kaiser's case, where disbelief and disavowal of fatherhood reach peak levels. And Judge Lauren is not letting anyone off this ride without a truth ticket.
Ms. England, you say that you and Mr. Kaiser have been together for 6 years, have a 3-year-old son together, but claim he's now denying your 6-month-old son Isaac, and you're here to prove that he is the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Kaiser, you acknowledge one child with Ms. England, but say Isaac is not yours. You say that during your separation from Ms. England, she slept with another man, and you are 100% sure.
Mr. Kaiser steps into the spotlight, doubt dripping from every word as he declares his disbelief in being the father. He throws shade like it's sunny, suggesting Miss England's brief affair during their separation is the real culprit behind the pregnancy. The courtroom buzzes, and you can almost hear the collective gasp as Judge Lake sharpens her gaze, ready to dissect every word.
The whole time, I stepped the back, true enough. But I stepped the back because we already had a 2-year-old son together, you know what I'm saying?
So you accepted her back. You said, you know what, let's try again.
But she was still pregnant by his other man the whole time we were together, Your Honor.
Your Honor, that's
So the whole time,
back.
let me ask you this, Mr. Kaiser, the whole time she was pregnant and you accepted her back, you're thinking the whole time and she's pregnant by another man, or were you thinking...
But wait, there's more! As Mr. Kaiser spins his web of suspicion, Miss England fires back with a tale of neglect and emotional distance. She paints a picture of a man so distant, a telescope couldn't bring him close. The plot thickens, and so does the tension, with Judge Lake steering this ship through choppy waters, her patience wearing thinner than the evidence Mr. Kaiser is clinging to.
I left because when my sister died and he was not there for me, and I needed a shoulder to cry on, I didn't have it.
Right, so you went with this other guy.
I went with the other man because he made it unbearable for me at the house.
And now you say that this man, Mr. Kaiser, is baby Isaac's biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, listen, the question is the timing in which he was conceived.
I can explain that to you right here. I'm 100% sure.
Great,
And I have
now we're back on track.
The climax builds as Judge Lake calls on Mr. Kaiser to account for his claims, challenging the depth and basis of his doubts. It's a verbal tug of war, with Miss England countering every denial with a plea for recognition and responsibility. The courtroom transforms into a battlefield of words and wits, and at the center, Judge Lake, wielding justice like a sword, cuts through the noise, and she announces what the real results are.
Mr. Kaiser, you are not the father.
Are you sure?
I'm sorry, Mr. Kaiser.
You sure?
Are
you
I'm
sure?
so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's gotta be a mistake, right? It's a mistake, right?
I am so sorry, but it is not a mistake. You are not baby Isaac's biological
But he can be his father.
In a moment of courtroom drama gold, Judge Lake delivers a reality check that lands like a thunderclap. "You all still arguing now?" she thunders, her voice echoing off the walls, loaded with disappointment and disbelief at the childish antics unfolding before her. It's a lesson in maturity served up Judge Lauren style, spicy and unfiltered.
It doesn't matter if DNA or not, he can be that boy's father. Just because he has a daddy that don't care, why can't he be the daddy that does? We've been through hell and back. 6 years. We've been homeless together. We've had to struggle to get where we are now. I don't think it has to end because it's not his blood. Our other child he raises just fine.
I understand. We, in this courtroom, recognize that
We're zeroing in on Ms. Phillips, who's on a mission to prove Mr. Daniels is the father of her child, despite his untimely death. The stakes? As high as they can get, with inheritance and identity on the line. Fasten your seatbelts. Judge Lake is about to navigate through this storm with the precision of a seasoned captain.
Ms. Phillips, you claim that you are certain the defendant's deceased son, Phillips-Daniels, is the father of your 3-month-old daughter, a miracle, phenomenal Daniel. You say it wasn't until after his tragic passing that Ms. Williamson began to deny her grandchild.
Yes.
You believe today's results will prove what you already know, that a miracle is her grandchild. Is that correct?
Yes.
The scene sets with Ms. Phillips, steadfast in her belief, claiming Mr. Daniels is the biological father, amidst swirling doubts and contested memories. But Mr. Daniels' mother, Toya, is not buying any of it. She challenges Ms. Phillips' story, pointing out inconsistencies as wide as the Grand Canyon. The courtroom's tension could be cut with a knife, and Judge Lake's sharp gaze misses nothing.
My daughter needs the death benefits of her father, and she needs the help.
Benefits? There's no death benefits. He didn't have a job.
So what you're saying is, Ms. Phillips, that your child is in need of support.
Yes, and I can support her myself. I have a job. I can support her myself.
But you believe there would be death benefits
It will be
owed to her.
It will be death benefits.
There's no
they
death
mothers
benefits.
don't know what
He's not the father, Your Honor.
As the emotional intensity surges, Toya brings up a bombshell, alleged evidence that Ms. Phillips may have been less than faithful. The accusation flies like a rogue missile, threatening to obliterate Ms. Phillips' claims. But wait, there's a twist. Ms. Williamson fires back with a defense so bold, it sends shockwaves through the courtroom. She claims a mystery man's resemblance to her child is undeniable, suggesting a genetic connection that's as visible as daylight.
He called, she brought another guy to my house. He answered the phone plenty of times where there was another young man on the phone talking to him.
He was doing the cheating.
Oh, it wasn't committed.
He was going back and forth from.
All right, so what did he tell you about the relationship?
I mean, she was at my house a couple times. She was there or whatever, but he dipped and he dabbed.
Judge Lake, ever the beacon of truth, steps in to untangle the web of hearsay and speculation. With a stern voice and a no-nonsense attitude, she demands hard evidence over idle talk. The courtroom holds its breath as Ms. Williamson struggles to substantiate her claims, her credibility hanging by a thread.
You can still make a child, let me tell you that. But listen, Ms. Williamson, what I want to understand is you say your son saw Ms. Phillips with somebody else.
Yes.
Tell the court what happened.
My son came outside and just got to asking her, like, why would you bring another man to my house? She was like, well, I just came over here, boop.
Boop. What is that?
It's just like a little conversation. She was saying what she had to say to him, and he was saying what he had to say to her, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
In a climactic showdown, the DNA results are revealed, cutting through the tension like a hot knife through butter. Judge Lake, with a look that could quell a storm, reads out the results. The outcome, a truth bomb that leaves the courtroom in stunned silence.
The percentage of relatedness between a miracle, phenomenal Daniels and Toya Williamson is 99.8%.
I know exactly who my baby daddy is.
I don't care. I'm not in that baby life. I don't want to be in that.
You don't have listen. Hey, we're not going dark when we just got to the light.
We're revving up the engines in the high-speed chase for truth in the case of Miller-Rasmason. Buckle up, as this is a journey over 100 miles of emotional terrain that tests the limits of fatherhood and truth.
Ms. Miller, you're here to prove to your ex-boyfriend Scotty Rasmussen that he is not the father of your 3-year-old daughter, Zaylee Rasmussen.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim you've been in an ongoing court battle over custody and have petitioned the court several times for a DNA test, all of which have been denied.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Miller throws the courtroom into fifth gear right from the very start, contesting that her ex, Mr. Rasmussen, isn't the father of little Zaylee, despite his unwavering commitment and marathon drives to see her. The gears grind as Ms. Miller reveals their tangled past, full of custody battles and denied DNA tests, while Mr. Rasmussen counters with claims of hatred, driving her denial.
No, I do not hate him because of that. I lost my respect for him, yes.
He says this is about visitation, too. He loves his daughter, but you don't want him to have the visitation. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why is that?
Because I believe that the only reason why he wants the visitation is to claim her on his taxes.
That is the furthest thing from the truth.
The road gets bumpier as Mr. Rasmussen details his epic bi-weekly journey. A whooping 160 miles round trip just to see Zaylee. His dedication speaks volumes. But is it enough to navigate the accusations of infidelity and the rocky end to their relationship? This is where the rubber meets the road, folks.
Have any way to meet me halfway?
You say she hates you. Why does she hate you?
She hates me because at the end of the relationship, when things got rocky, I'll admit it, I did go to another woman. I'll be the first to admit that. You know, it was my mistake.
Is that true, Ms. Miller?
No.
It's not?
No.
Tell me what you believe to be true in this situation.
Yes, I was very mad at him for being a cheater. He cheated on me through pretty much our whole relationship.
Judge Lake's patience starts to wear thin as the ex-couple's dirty laundry airs out. Mr. Rasmussen's financial contributions come under scrutiny, with Ms. Miller suggesting his motives are tax-related rather than heartfelt. The financial ledger of love and duty gets a thorough audit from Judge Lake, who's not buying any shallow excuses today.
He says this is about visitation, too. He loves his daughter, but you don't want him to have the visitation. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why is that?
Because I believe that the only reason why he wants the visitation is to claim her on his taxes.
That is the furthest thing from the truth. I want my visitation because my daughter means the world to me. I want to be in her life as much as I possibly can.
As the journey nears its destination, the essence of Mr. Rasmussen's commitment is questioned deeply. His heartfelt testimony about his presence during Zaylee's birth and his significant emotional and financial investment paints a portrait of a devoted dad. Yet, Ms. Miller's steadfast belief that he is not the father adds a chilling frost to the warm narrative.
Mr. Rasmussen, what type of visitation do you have right now?
Right now, it's every other weekend, but I've had to jump through so many hoops to get to this point. At first, it was that fly-by-night, just make a date whenever you want to and, you know, go from there. But obviously, that didn't work. And then sometime after that, we started out where I had to sit with Miss Miller and my daughter at a park for 4 hours once a week for 4 weeks. And then after that, I got her for 4 hours.
In a dramatic conclusion, Judge Lake steers the case to a heart-stopping halt. The DNA results are in, and the truth is laid bare, leaving no room for doubt. The courtroom's atmosphere thickens with tension and disbelief, all while Judge Lake highlights the real victim in this high-stakes drama, little Zaylee. It is Miss Miller's reaction that pisses her off, and she gets the short end of Judge Lake's temper. Ugh, what a mess.
Mr. Rasmussen, you are not the father. Miss Miller.
Be respectful.
I'm sorry.
Miss Miller.
I'm sorry.
That's a lot of nerve considering the alternative is somebody that don't want nothing to do with you or your child.
I'm sorry.
That's a lot of nerve. You just showed me where your priorities were right there.
At the beginning, their relationship was filled with fairy tales and felt like a Disney movie. Sadly, it came to a quick end after the seed of doubt spread like wildfire in the minds of her boyfriend and her family members. If the DNA results do not come out in her favor, she can kiss everything she has built with the defendant goodbye. Here's how she started her case.
Ms. Hendricks, you were once in a committed relationship with the defendant, Mr. Pacheco. Now you say the doubts about your 6-month-old son, Isaiah's paternity has destroyed your relationship and torn the rest of your family apart.
Yes, Your Honor.
Even her brother isn't on her side in this situation. I wonder how that happened. Anyway, Ms. Hendricks claimed their relationship was love at first sight, and even before they ever met in person, she already loved Mr. Pacheco with all her heart. But all that went down the drain when she found out she was pregnant.
And so at some point, you realize you're pregnant?
Yes, and we was both happy. It was like very exciting, like the whole pregnancy, up until I was about 7 months pregnant when my brother and him had a conversation, and my brother told him that he possibly may not be the father because he's seen the ex
around.
Well, you heard, baby daddy. All right. No one is going to see messages like that and not immediately have doubts. The funny thing is, Mr. Pacheco actually does love Ms. Hendricks very much, but those doubts were making it hard to trust her one bit. But baby mama said everything was based on rumors, and they weren't true. Could she be lying?
When I was 7 months pregnant, that's when it came from my own brother that he thought that he was possibly not the father. And then we got past that. Like, he left me when I was 7 months pregnant. The rest of my pregnancy, I was by myself on, which was very depressing.
Hold on, the mailman's baby? What the hell has baby mama been up to? From the looks of it, she's been having some funny business with other men while her boyfriend is away. In the midst of the drama unfolding in the courtroom, baby mama proceeds to drop a shocking revelation, and trust me, it was mind-blowing. Here's what she said.
I was talking to a close family member on the phone on speakerphone because I was doing the dishes, I was busy. So the person was like, well, I seen such and such, and he thinks that he's Isaiah's dad. And I'm like, what? Like, I was shocked.
An ex from jail is claiming to be the father of your baby, and you have no idea why. Now that definitely sounds very shady to me. Baby daddy, already filled with all the doubt in the world, goes on to tell the judge that she was Ling, and her mother gave the ex the number he used to reach out to Miss Hendricks.
But for me to say about her mother was the one that gave the dude the number. Her ex, the number to get in contact back and forth, all about the baby situation. For me, it really bothered me and it hurted me, you know what I'm saying? Because at one point, I felt like her mother was like a mother to me. And how she gonna come and, stab me in the back.
Oh, now that came as an unexpected bombshell. But can she really blame baby daddy for refusing to sign the birth certificate of the child after having these many doubts? As if that wasn't bad enough. Ms. Hendricks had Mr. Pacheco kicked out of the hospital and told him to his face that he wasn't the father of her child.
We got into a verbal discussion, so I got kicked out of the hospital that day. When I got kicked out of the hospital...
You got kicked out of the hospital because you were being rude to me. I wasn't doing nothing to you.
Like, when she was 7 months pregnant, she came out and said, oh, you might not be the dad of baby Isaiah. And for her to say
so that actually came out of your mouth?
Her mouth.
Even Judge Lauren had to spell out the truth to her face. You don't say something like that to a man who already has doubts about your child. Finally, her baby mama's brother walks up to the stage and decides to explain why baby daddy should have doubts about the child. This is what he had to say.
I had noticed coming back and forth from work that there was this other man kind of hanging out. But one morning when I was leaving for work, I had noticed that this man's belongings was on the living room floor. I don't know exactly what went on, but that had caused some suspicion.
But that was different times, like totally different times.
Can baby mama tell the truth already? I mean, her own brother doesn't even trust her enough to be on her side. But trust me, baby daddy was beyond hurt by the situation. What hurt the most was the fact that he was there all the way, even with doubts in his head.
Is that doubt in my head, like, if he's not my son? The Vadon got one in 7 months. I've been there. I did everything for that kid. Bought him clothes, bought him diapers. Yeah, there's times now that I'm not there like I used to be. But why is that? All the rumors. You know what I'm saying? You don't see that.
It breaks my heart because I feel that he doesn't even treat him.
They could go on and on about who did right and who did wrong, or who is telling the truth and who isn't. The only way the truth is going to come out is if the judge reveals the DNA results. Well, that's where we are. Let's see if baby daddy is going to be a happy man in the end.
Mr. Pacheco, you are his father.
That's good. My nephew has a father. That's good. That's good.
I'm sorry for everything I put you through.
I'm happy for all of you.
Thank you.
And I say that only to point out that secrets, lies, and a lack of trust, it can permeate the fabric of any relationship.
You can tell all the lies in the world, but at some point, the truth is always going to come out. Mr. Jordan was in court furious as hell because the defendant tricked him into playing the daddy role for a whole 2 years. Now he finds out there's another man who could be the potential father, and he wants a DNA test. Here's how their case kicked off.
Mr. Jordan, you claim the defendant tricked you into signing her daughter's birth certificate and being a daddy. But 2 years later, you were told that another man is her biological father. You opened your case because you want DNA proof you are not the father so you can get your name removed from the birth certificate. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And just like that, Mr. Jordan wasted no time in diving straight into how he was tricked. And as I said, he was quite upset. He claimed she took advantage of him because she saw that he was a provider and she wanted her child to have a good father. But as far as love and wanting to have a family went, Ms. Hamm didn't want any of that.
So you thought her motive really was that you were a provider, you were there for the child, and you were going to do right by the child.
Right.
But you believe she was being deceitful.
Yes.
Were you being deceitful, Ms. Hamm?
No, ma'am.
He's a great father, and I only had sex with one man when we were together, and I had sex with him one time, but we've been messing around for 7 years.
Ow! Now that right there was a shock to everyone. She slept with the other guy once and got pregnant? Something smells fishy, and Ms. Hamm is definitely hiding something. Even with all the allegations, she still believed Mr. Jordan was the father of her child.
But how if you had sex with the other guy?
I just know that he's the father.
So, Mr. Jordan.
And he needs to stop listening. No, he listens to his family members, my family members, the people on the streets, and everything about that. And I just came today to show everybody on the streets, his family members, my family members, that he's the father, and I'm tired of it.
Well, that definitely brings some confusion to the whole case. Maybe baby mama's telling the truth after all. I guess we'll find out soon enough. Even with tears dropping from her eyes, Mr. Jordan wasn't moved by any of it. He still stood firm on his claim that he was there for the child from the day she was born to this current day.
I love that little girl, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was there, I cut the umbilical cord, I passed out. I was there, you know what I'm saying? I sung happy birthday when she was born, you know what I'm saying? I watched the little nasty little afterbirth. Horrible, you know what I'm saying? But I was there.
So you were there for the whole birth and the nasty afterbirth.
Everything, you know what I'm saying? I was there for the weird pregnancy cravings. I was there to rub the feet. I was there to get up out my sleep at night to go get pickles and ice cream.
I won't even blame Judge Lauren for asking that question because everything was going so well in the beginning. How did they find themselves in such a messy situation? Apparently they had a family gathering and that's where the truth was revealed. Here's how Mr. Jordan remembered it playing out.
You know what I mean? So she said something about this family member's in front of this family member's boyfriend or whatever. So the family member turned around and was like, well, why you ain't told Chris that he's not Caitlin's dad?
What?
So I'm like, at that moment, it was just like, I was more in shock than it. Because at the end of the day, it's just like, it's very funny, but you know, you can say whatever. But as she was saying it, she pulls out the phone.
Talk about a bombshell dropping in a courtroom. That certainly came out of the blue. It looks like baby mama wasn't telling the truth after all. Oh, trust me, Mr. Jordan wasn't just reading to tell the truth. He had evidence to show that there was actually another guy in the picture.
And this is from Santavius Night, and it reads, me and my baby Kate.
And my thing is, when did anybody get the time to even take my daughter over to somebody else's house? Like how am I the last person to find out?
Do you know who this man is, Miss Hamm?
That's the guy I had sex one time with.
Enough with the lies already. I mean, she can't even defend herself anymore. Judge Lauren was tired of continuously listening to Ms. Hamm lie about almost everything. So she decided to hear from the side of the other potential baby daddy. Here's how that little interaction went down.
Do you believe Caitlin is your daughter?
Yes, that's my baby. She told me when she got pregnant, she like, I'm pregnant. I'm like, what you telling me for? She like, well, it's not Chris, because me and Chris been together a year and a half, and we ain't got pregnant. Soon you touch me, I get pregnant.
No, he's lying. When I came back in town in April, I had sex, and then I found out I was pregnant in June, so how is that possible? I just called him and let him know that I was pregnant.
Ouch! Even for both men, that's definitely going to hurt. All this while baby mama was playing games with both men. They had no idea. Wow. Her lies got so bad that the judge was starting to lose her cool in the courtroom. Talk about a web of lies and deceit. Ms. Hamm sure knows how to lie.
What is the plan, though? I mean, I realize now that there is a web of deceit, but I'm still not too clear on what is the plan.
To show that Caitlin is the father. I mean, Christopher is the father of Caitlin, because I'm tired of this. I'm tired of my family saying he's the father.
But you sleeping with him.
After much scolding and revelations from both men, baby mama finally decided to tell the truth. She claimed she honestly had no idea who the father of her child could be out of the two men present in the court.
Can we say, in this moment, that it is the truth that you do not definitively know which one of these men is her biological father?
I don't know.
You don't know. It's okay, because when you tell it can't hold you hostage anymore. It can't. You're in your own prison.
Well, we're at the last junction and we need the truth. After roping two men in her web of lies and deceit, the judge decides to ease the tension and reveal the DNA results. Who do you think the child's father is going to be?
The biological father is Mr. Jordan. Mr. Jordan, you are Caitlin's biological father. Mr. Knight, I know you really thought Caitlin was your biological child. How are you feeling in this moment?
At the end of the day, in life, you can't,
For Mr. Broussard, he had taken enough of his wife's lies and was ready to break free of the shackles of her deceit. His one-year marriage was on the verge of collapse due to his doubts about his child. He hoped that the DNA test would come out in his favor and that he would be able to save his family. Here's how their story began in the courtroom.
Mr. Broussard, you opened your case hoping the court will grant you a paternity test so you can prove you are not the father of 4-month-old baby Charles. You say your 1-year marriage to the defendant is on the verge of collapse because of paternity doubt, and you need this test to save your family. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
As you can see, Mr. Broussard is not here to joke around. He needs answers, and he needs them fast. The judge decides to ask Mrs. Broussard how things have been in their home since the issue of doubts came up, and she goes on to say something shocking.
He is so obsessed with my ex that he feels that I'm cheating on him every time I do something. We argue, we fight all the time. Me and him just are not getting along at all.
How long has it been this way?
Since the end of last year. There has been rumors going around in the neighborhood that we grew up that he is not the father of our child.
Well, there you have it. His trust game with his wife is running at a minus. I wonder what she did to make her husband have zero trust in her. As you would expect, Judge Lauren asked him why he didn't trust his wife, and he had some evidence he wanted to show the courtroom. Here's his reason for not trusting his wife.
There was 2 glasses on my table. I just got off work, and basically I walked in, and the cups looked freshly poured. You still can see the water dripping off of it because it's going to room temperature. So I asked, like, why is there another cup here? She basically said, I don't know. I said, well, you had in my house then. She didn't know.
She said, I don't know?
Yes.
I'm siding with the judge on that one. If you claim it was just a family member who came visiting, why not just tell your husband it was a family member straight up? Looks like the lies are starting to catch up with Mrs. Broussard. Baby daddy, on the other hand, wasn't done presenting his evidence. He had more to reveal.
Him and your wife are still communicating. They want to have a family, a baby together. They about to push you out the picture.
What?
Yeah, it blew my mind, so.
Well, see, that's the thing about kids, though. They'll tell it, honey. And so you heard that she was still talking to the ex and they was gonna push you out the picture.
And have a family.
And have a family.
The revelations just keep coming and coming. At this point, one can only ask what baby mama has been up to while baby daddy has been away. Now trust me, this isn't even the craziest part of Mr. Broussard's evidence showdown. Apparently, his wife had been receiving X-rated photos from her ex.
Taking a picture with his gentleman in his hand, sending it to my wife.
So her ex basically sent a naked photo?
Yes.
Because this is from the ex?
Yes.
Miss Broussard, did your ex send you a naked photo?
Yes, he did.
But hold on, the tables were about to shift, and baby daddy was about to have his neck hooked. Mrs. Broussard didn't deny sleeping with her ex, though. She claimed the only reason she did it was because Mr. Broussard himself was secretly having an affair with his ex, too.
A husband that you had slept with your ex in your house?
Yeah.
And you don't have no shame in it, huh?
But I slept with him after his ex called me telling me that they were having an affair, too.
Oh, so the revenge sex?
Yes. I wanted him to feel just as hurt as I did.
Oh, Lord. You say this happened in August?
Yes.
No, it happened in December.
Oh, now that is just disgusting from baby mama. Sleeping with another man while you're 5 months pregnant? Come on! Anyway, even though baby daddy had an affair with his ex, he still claimed the baby looked very much like her ex-boyfriend.
That child clearly has a different face structure.
Do you feel like he looks like her ex?
Yes, he do.
No, he doesn't.
It's just messed up that an innocent child got put in the middle of it. I just want confirmation. I just want to be set at ease. Like, if this is my child, I could move forward and be the proper father and be at my best potential in his life.
It's about time we ended this charade of lies and deceit. It's been going on for far too long, and it's high time we found out who the child's father is. Could the ex-boyfriend really be the father of the child?
Mr. Broussard, you are the father. How does it feel to hear that?
I feel a lot more better about the results. I still got love for him. As far as me and Helen go, you know, we have to work on our marriage and our differences. pretty happy that this is my biological son.
In this case, there was no shaking Mr. Vadboncoeur's mind. He believed that the defendant was trying to pin a baby on him, and he just wasn't going to sit with it. He claimed he could prove that the baby wasn't his, and that Ms. Furnari was nothing but a lair. Here's how he started his case.
Mr. Vadboncoeur, you have petitioned the court to prove to Ms. Furnari that you are not the biological father of her 1-year-old son, Dawson.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim you can prove you're not the father, and when today's results win your case, you want her out of your life.
Well, Your Honor, there was really never no relationship. I met her over Facebook through my sister, and after that, I had unprotected sex with her.
Now, Mr. Vadboncoeur claimed he never had a solid relationship with Ms. Furnari. For him, it felt like a one-time sexual experience. But for her, trust me, it was a totally different story. She claimed they had been dating for 2.5 years.
She tries to say that we've been together 2.5, 3 years. No, shortly after I met Ms. Furnari, I went away. I've probably seen her one time within 10 months.
Were you in a relationship with anybody else during the time you were also sleeping with Mr. Vadboncoeur?
No, I was not.
So how did he hear about you being with other men?
I did tell him.
You told him?
Yes, I did.
Wow. Looks like baby mama was busy while Mr. Vadboncoeur was away. As he could recall, he wasn't in a relationship with Ms. Furnari all the time he was away, but when he got back, he received some of the most insane revelations. Here's what he found out.
You know, Ms. Furnari is out there cheating on you. I'm one of the guys she cheated on you with. All right, now, I'll let it go. I was thinking he is mine. Now, I get to talking to another guy, and he tells me he's had sex with her, and I look at Dawson, and I look at him, and I'm thinking it's his kid.
How did that affect you?
I was sick of it.
Could there be a motive behind baby mama claiming he is the father? I guess we'll find out. Here's where their story takes a plot twist. Baby mama had a witness, and the witness happened to be Mr. Vadboncoeur's sister. Shocking, right? Well, she claimed she knew more about the situation, and here's how she told the judge.
One night after we had all been drinking, she slept with one of the people that came to our little get-together.
Is that the only time you caught her cheating?
That's the only time I caught her cheating. I mean, I had suspicions, but...
Why? Because of her talking on the phone, or...?
Just different behaviors and stuff, and I told my brother this stuff, and I went to pick him up when he came home.
Well, that definitely complicates the whole situation. Baby mama, for some reason, wasn't trying to defend herself in any way. With all the accusations thrown at her table, she just remained quiet. It got so bad that Judge Lauren had to ask her to say something.
Defending yourself, you're not saying that's not true. What is your story? Were you sleeping with multiple men during the window of conception?
No, I wasn't, Your Honor.
So why are all these men coming up to him talking about they slept with you?
They're not.
Your Honor,
it's all lies.
Mutual too.
One thing baby daddy could not wrap his head around was why random people would come to him and tell him that Ms. Furnari was sleeping around with different men. I mean, if it was one person who told him, you could say it was a rumor, but with multiple people, there has to be some level of truth to what they're saying.
They know I have nothing to do with her anymore. Now, why would they constantly be lying to me about it? That's the question that I have.
Your point is, what is the motive? Do they want to be with her? Do they want to keep you two apart? Your thing is, why are these people coming to tell me something they have no reason to tell me?
I honestly don't know, Your Honor. I think they just want me to know who I was dealing with.
Oh wow, I wasn't expecting that at all. Looks like baby daddy wasn't a saint either. But like he said, it was irrelevant in this situation. Mr. Vadboncoeur had his own witness, and she had some crazy things to tell the judge. Here's her own side of the story.
Ms. Knox, you are Mr. Vadboncoeur's fiance. Yes. What do you know about this situation and Dawson's paternity?
She did flake out a couple times. We had paternity tests and she flaked out. It's all about David. It's not about that baby when it comes down. She wants him. Honey, you're not getting him. Sorry.
Secrets were being revealed in court one after another, but nothing was helping them get the closure they needed. So Judge Lake pulled the strings and decided to announce the result.
Mr. Vadboncoeur, you are the father.
That's your son, David.
That's fine.
Now all this could stop or you could be his dad. Can I give my brother a hug? Through all this, I love my brother.
Absolutely. You don't want to hug your sister?
No, I don't.
He doesn't want to hug Miss Vadboncoeur.
At the end of the day, if he needs me, that's my baby brother, and I'm there. No matter what he may say, that's my brother.